my beauty. And I bet you see right through me.
Yeah, guys.
Can do anything to me.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, something you just said, it was true at one time. They were looking at, will he be a good father to my kids? The women today, they don't fucking want kids, Jeremy. They look at, can you provide my lifestyle? Can you get me Gucci and Prada? Can you get me Kohl's? Can you get me what I want? Can you get me Mark, whatever, Jacob, whatever it is? Can you do for me what I need? Keep me sustained. But I don't want to commit to you, and I don't want a family. Don't really call me your girlfriend, but I can be a thing. And you have no idea I see so many like random like interviews, people on the street. You ask any girl, nine out of 10 girls that are with somebody, are you cheating on your boyfriend? Well, I fuck whoever I want. That's not. Don't He doesn't have to worry about that. That's my business. Don't worry about it. I still have him. And it used to be the opposite of this. It used to be so like Twilight Zone, different world where men were like, yeah, I'm a man. I gotta do what I gotta do. And all the men I meet these days are like, no, I love my girlfriend. Why would I want to do that? I have her. It doesn't make any sense. And then the women I meet are like, yo, gotta get yours, yo. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get what I gotta get, The more men I have, more money I have, more dick I have, the more I'm satisfied. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? That's why I'm telling you it was a disaster for me. It was like,
Right. I also think that in the last 4 months, you've had some really, really rotten luck. Because
maybe, you're right.
Now, as you know, I've had my ups and downs since 2018, as we've said. But I haven't met anyone as craven as some of the people you've met.
True.
Not everybody wants, you're right, not everybody wants the same thing. And there are women who are not interested. Again, if we're talking about someone in their 20s, maybe into the 30s, early 40s, somebody who is not interested in a family, maybe doesn't have kids and doesn't want them. And look, I don't judge. For example, if you have a woman who is interested in you, and let's say that and we didn't know this, let's say the same woman is talking to both of us. Let's say she's 25 or she's 30. And she decides to go out with me because I don't have kids. Like, I wouldn't think there was anything weird with that. Or if she said, I want to go out with you, number one, because you have no kids and because I don't want any kids.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. That's okay. But it was just that it's okay to meet women like that. But what's confusing me was that woman after woman after woman with the same thing and same mentality. It almost feels like they've been brainwashed by society to think a certain way, and that kind of got to me. And
well, but you know what, though? They could be watching Real Housewives of whatever.
Definitely.
Because what you explained, and I understand you're in a psychiatric setting, but you put all of those different shows, and I've only seen clips because you can't avoid it on social media over the years. Teresa Guidiz, I actually met her once. She was at the Whitman Mall 12 years ago. But that kind of situation where you got 6 women and they all hate each other.
Yeah.
They will not get along at all. Now, if you look what MTV did, like with The Real World, there were certain seasons where the guys didn't get along and they were beating the crap.
Definitely.
So sometimes it does come down to the people. And I guess the Kenny of 6 months ago maybe wouldn't have had the exact same perspective as he has now.
No, definitely not.
So you're still evolving.
Oh yeah,
You're changing. So that this podcast would be different if this is from a year ago, a couple of years ago.
But
me too.
What it's done for me though is given me a much more insight to somebody who is as soon as I meet them. I can tell right away now. It's so funny. If I talk to a girl, and again, it's never going to be in the gym, because don't ever talk to me in the gym if you're a girl. There's no point. I'll be very nice to you. That's as far as it goes. We're just friends in the gym. And anybody who goes to my gym, no matter how hot they are, we're never dating. It's never going to happen. The end. The gym is my home, my love.
Okay, wait. Now let's pause on that. So in your illustrious 25-year, give or take, at Bev's. No, I'm not asking a dirty question here. How many different women have you at least seen socially? Like, what could be considered a date? And I'm not. This is not to embarrass you.
No,
because
me and Jamie had this in our podcast.
Oh, I didn't realize it.
And
sorry.
I'll say it again. I had a whole year of God. What's wrong with me? So depraved. It's it had someone started with Lou also. It's his kind of I blame that guy. It's
Wait,
Louis. It's
wait.
your fault.
You mean Lou
Yeah,
Tancredi?
it's his fault.
Okay.
No, not really, but I blame him too. He aided in it by accident. I was in the martial arts, right? So I did a lot of training for a lot of glute work because everything comes from your hips.
Sure.
So 1,000 kicks a day each leg, 1,000 sumo squats, 1,000 regular squats. And this lady Maria, I never forgot her name. I don't even know her last name. She was like, "Oh, can you show me how to do that?" I sure. She's like, "Wow, I really feel this in my glutes." I'm like, "That's the whole point, lady." She said, "Can you train me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Come tomorrow. This time I'll be here. Don't worry about it. I'll train you. It's $40." She's like, "Okay." I come there. She's not there. I'm like, "What the hell?" Lou's like, "Oh, there's a message for you from the lady Maria." I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "Call her." So I go to the payphone and call her. I'm like, "What's up?" She's like, "Oh, can you train me at the house? I don't want to come to the gym." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." So I get to the house. I'm like, let's train." And she was wearing like a skirt instead of wearing like sweatpants. I'm like, okay, well that's up to her. I don't really care. I was pretty naive. I didn't understand what was going on. And like, well, we gotta stretch first before we do all this. So in Taekwondo first, you do like a one leg stretch, next leg stretch. You lie, sit down, both legs open. Then you do forward stretch. And she opens up her legs, and I'm like, does she know she's not wearing any panties? Is it just me? I'm still not getting it. She's smiling at me, and I'm like, do I tell
Hey,
her?
it's basic instinct. Yeah, what are you going to do? Charge me with smoking?
I'm like, do I tell the lady, like, that she should do something? And this kept going on for like 15 minutes, bro. I'm like stretching her out, and then she turns around and just like grabs my dick, and she's like, "You don't get it, right? Like, you're not gonna train." I'm like, "Oh,
This is what
okay,
he's really doing
yeah,
here.
got it. Okay." So
Yeah, it's a TV
anyway,
show, and then the title card is, and now Kenny realizes why
yeah,
he's here.
so I of course, bang her for a couple of hours, and what happened was because she was older, obviously like in her 40s, the rumors just started spreading. You wanna come to you can't come anymore. Call this guy. Call this guy. Call this guy. So then, I'd be working out and same time in the afternoonish, and there's all a lot of older women there in their 40s, and all just staring at me. I'm like, why are they staring at me? Funny one, this girl Connie just comes to me and she's like, "Hey, I'm Connie." I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And she used to have a Corvette. I thought it was so fucking cool. So I was like, "Oh, you drive the Corvette, right? Can I sit in it?" She's like, "Sure, you can have whatever you want." I'm like, "Oh, nice." So we go outside. I own a Nissan Sentra, so that I was like, "This is so cool." So I was like, "Can I sit in it?" She's like, "Well, what are you going to give me?" I'm like, "What do you want?" And she looks down. I'm like, "She wants my shoes." She's like, "Can you give it to me?" I'm like, "I only have one pair of shoes. How will I walk home?" She's just laughing her ass off. She's like, "Wow, I heard you were like really naive and sweet. I didn't actually like that. It's cute." I'm like, "I don't understand." She's like, whispers in my ear what she wants. I'm like, "Oh, okay. Where do you live?" She's like, "Here." I'm like, so this whole stupid thing went on for like a year, bro. Woman after woman after woman after woman after woman. I mean, it was like, every day it was somebody new, sometimes three or four of them. Sometimes I didn't get to the gym for like 5, 6 hours, and I get there and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. I was at the height of my sexual prime. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Um, and then one day, as I got told on the podcast with Jamie, I was in this lady's house. I hear a door slam. Like, I didn't hear the other. She goes, "Oh my god, my husband's home." I'm like, "Excuse me?
Yeah, what a cliche, right?
Excuse me?" She's like, "I'm like, you told me you weren't married." She's like, "I lied." I'm like, "No, wait." Now in my head, I'm like, "I'm the other man. I'm the other man. I'm the guy who's cheating. I'm an asshole. I'm a piece of shit. Oh my god, what? I need to get out of here." She's like, "Well, get out." I'm like, "Okay." Like, no, out the window. I'm like, "Out the window? I, I'm afraid of heights." She's like, "I don't give a shit." The second floor, and they had one of those like those fences for roses. Jimmy said it was called a trestle. I don't even know what it's called.
Trellis,
Trellis.
I
Thanks.
think. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. So I climb onto it. I'm shaking. I'm scared. I hate heights. I'm trying to slowly climb down, like breathe, 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 breathe. So I finally get down. I'm like, my clothes, my clothes. I hear window slam. I'm like, no. She'll give me my clothes. Just wait 5 minutes. Hiding in the bushes. I'm like, oh my god. The clothes are not coming. My Timberlands are not coming back, are they? Like, fuck. My Jinko jeans. I'm like, oh, come on, man. It's my favorite tank top. I'm like, so thank God I was still in my boxers. I was wearing the Hilfiger boxers, and this is in not Mutton Town.
Jericho?
No, 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 the fucking other rich area.
Oyster Bay Cove, Lloyd Harbor,
No, right before the gym, in
Lat-
between.
Laddingtown.
No, when you go through 107, you it's like
There's Old Westbury,
oh man,
Brookville, Upper Brook.
Brookville.
Oh,
Thanks, Brookville. It's a loss for a second. So Brookville, you can basically head down that small road and walk about 45 minutes to get to the gym. So barefoot, I started walking. It was summer. 45 minutes to the gym. Get in the gym. I walk in. Lou's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Don't say anything." Anthony starts this shit. Yeah, I'm like, "Just shut the fuck up. I'm not in the mood." He goes, "Really?" Like I always loved his jokes, and he was like, "All right, are we having a period?" I'm like, "Leave me alone. Give me a dime." So I get the dime. I put it in there. And I call my boy Shane. I'm like, "Shane,
I
go
need
home.
clothes.
Bring me clothes." Now he's
I
like,
need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
forgot to say, please.
And he's like, "Why?" I'm like, "I don't want to talk about it. Just bring it." That day, I sat in the car with her, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't want." You know what it was? Finding out she was married fucked my head up.
I don't blame
I
you for
never
that.
thought
How
about.
could
I was so young. I never thought about that before. Like, wait, were any of them married before that? Like, did I not know? Am I that dude that's drilling women like on the side that are married and not happy with their relationships? I want to be that guy. So I remember I just kind of cut it off. And the reason I was bringing Lou, by the way, was because his two clients added to that list. He loved his parents, right? Like he
Yeah.
was so like, mom and dad need me, mom and dad need me. One day he was training these two girls, the ladies, not
Yeah.
girls. I shouldn't say the girls. And they're in the middle of squatting, and he had to go. Oh, my mom and dad need me. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I don't know, something about the yard. I'm like, okay, dude, can you train my clients? I'm like, yeah, sure. He trusted me. We're really cool like that.
Yeah.
And dude, I was young, and they were pretty good looking. And she's like, can you spot me? I'm like, no.
That would have been me. I think so.
She's like, no, I really need to spot. I said, ma'am, I understand that, but if I spot you, I'm gonna have a bigger problem. And then she's like, why? I'm like, I'll be very honest with you. I find you very attractive, and that's gonna be a problem. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. Do you not have a mirror at home? Like, she's like, my ex-husband thinks I'm ugly. I'm like, my ex-husband must be gay. You're not. That was about it. She's like, I live right here. I'm like, okay. That was it. And then her friend's like, where are you going? I'm like, come with us. So the next day, she wants to call Lou. She's like, I'm training with Ken again. And he's like, fucking stole my clients? So I get to the gym, and he's like, yo, man. I'm like, what's up, Louie? He's like, when you steal my clients? I'm like, I didn't steal your clients. He's like, I called her today, and she's like, she's training with you. And I start laughing. I'm like, Louie, you really think I'm training your clients? And he's like, oh, man. I wish I was you. I'm like, no, you don't, dude. I feel so bad about myself. You don't. And then it's really funny at that point. I was really good friends with Michelle. You remember Michelle, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I was just always messing with her, like, Michelle, me and you, honey. Come on. And it was such a joke to her because I was a kid. She's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, it was just me constantly just berating her and her being like, let's bench. It never took me seriously. It was a joke. She's such a cool person. I really missed her a lot. I wish she'd come to the gym.
Yeah, she's great.
But Sal says she doesn't want to come to. I understand if she doesn't want to come to the gym. It's fine.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in, I don't know, 15 years, I think.
Sal, I see him all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, he's freaking awesome. I love that dude. He's such a.
He's the only person I know that does that for a living, air traffic controller.
Yeah.
I don't know any other air traffic controllers.
He's very. He's always very nice. Every time I see him, he's very cool. Michelle says hi, and Michelle follows me on Instagram. I know she does.
Yeah,
me
Michelle.
Too. I know you follow my stories and stuff. I've spoken to you once in a while on DMs, and it'd be nice to see you in the gym again. It'd be like old school. It'd be like nice, but. So yeah, you wanting to know? Yeah, I had that moment in my life where I felt like a male whore. I really did. I felt bad about myself, the way I was behaving all the time, and kind of wish I hadn't, man. But there's a phase for everything, and I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot in general about love, which has nothing to do with my point now of relationships almost, because I feel like what women want is love second. Some women, younger women, maybe differently. Like I did. There's one girl I dated. I realize now that it wasn't just because I cared about her, but it's what I could do for her. She's very young, right? I'm a very caring person, so if you're with me, I will take care of every aspect of your life if I can. So yeah, I got her an apartment, I got her a bank account, I helped her get a bank account, I helped her manage her bank account, I helped her take care of her brother, I helped her in every aspect of her life. And of course, she cared a lot, she was in love with me, and and we had an amazing time together, and it was great. But I also realized that it wasn't like did nothing and she loved me. I did a lot for her. So what always gets to me is that means the only person in my life that really actually loved me for a short time. I don't think forever, unfortunately, because she's still a woman. My wife. When I met my wife, Jeremy, I didn't do a fucking thing for her. I swear I wouldn't, because I was very jaded, and I felt like no woman deserved me doing anything nice for them. It was their job to do for me, because I was
Right.
very spoiled.
Right.
I mean, I told you I did older women, so food, clothing, travel, I didn't pay for anything. Nothing, and even my own gas. It was like I was just taken care of all the time. And along came this girl my age, and I was like, "We can go to Burger King if you want." It's like, okay. And I just didn't care much. We broke up at one point because I thought we were too different. And she begged me to come back with her and give her a chance. And I told her, "Listen to me, you are a child, and I don't think you're ready for an adult relationship." But she really wasn't. And she said, "Listen to me, you do whatever you want to do. It's okay with me. But I don't really want to know, and just don't leave, though." Which is very mature on her part, to be honest with you. So we were together. I did what I kind of wanted had to do on the side to keep myself happy. And I made sure she was always happy as well. I was with her, spent time with her, did things with her. But my wife was a very homely person. She went to bed 9 o'clock at night. So, when you're at the club with your friends at 10 o'clock and their phones are blowing up and the girl's like, "Where are you? How come this motherfucker's phone never rings?" And my girlfriend is sleeping. Like, sleeping? Well, yeah, she goes to bed at 9. So I was lucky that way, but it took her 2 years. 2 years of my birthday would come up, man. This fucking girl, I thought she was crazy. $1,000, $1,500 worth of shit. The pants I like, the jeans I like, the boots I like, pagers, video games. I'm like, what the fuck? I never got a fucking thing for my birthday. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, you're not my parents. Like, and even my parents don't do this. Like, I get one video game, the end.
Yeah.
And it wasn't one thing. It was anything I wanted. It was mine. And then eventually, physically too, whatever I wanted, you can have. Whatever you need. When somebody becomes your everything, and they're taking care of you like that, I think when men truly say I love somebody, they're all in. There's men don't tend to turn back once they're in that point of loving someone. It becomes like I'm in, you're it, that's it. I'm yours. 100% inside out, I'm yours. I will burp in front of you. I will tell you everything that's going on. You will be my person to call for everything. You become the best friend and the lover and everything in one. And that's what we got like in 2 years, man. It was like, to the point where like we were like inseparable, but it took a while it took her breaking my walls down to get there. And I mean, even to the point where I can never forget as long as I live. She knew how much I love Hugh Jackman, right? And when Hugh Jackman was on Broadway, didn't even tell me, about fucking front row seats, right in front of him, right in the middle. Must have been like $700 a pop.
Right.
And she worked at a jewelry store, dude. No money. Family has no money. That nobody in that family has any money. They're like less than middle class.
Right.
And she saw the look on my face, that whole like ear to ear smile, man, for like 5 hours, just staring at this guy. And he's looking at me. He's like, "Why do you look at me like that?" I'm like, "I love you, man." And it's so funny that it's so memorable because
Which was the boy from Oz?
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, Boy from Oz. It's memorable because I used to tell my coworkers the story of what happened during the play. And then one day Hugh Jackman told the same story on TV. And all my coworkers were like, "He's talking about Kenny. Holy shit." What happened was, he's supposed to be a homosexual in the show, right? I don't care. I have gay friends who don't give a shit at all. there was one scene, and he was very interactive with the audience, where he kisses the other guy. Man, I don't know what the fuck came over me, Jeremy. He kissed him. I just screamed out loud. No! I mean, loud. And he's like, the whole thing just stopped. He's like, hold on a second. Who said no? Our audience is laughing. I'm like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And these 4 kids just like, that guy. I'm like, oh man. And he goes, big guy, did you scream no? I'm like, yeah. He goes, why? Like, because you're Wolverine, man. He just started laughing. He's like, because I'm Wolverine. Like, yeah, you're Wolverine. He's like, those kids in the back understand that's a character I play. I'm like, and my answer again, I'm like, no, you're Wolverine. He just started laughing. He was like, you're right. I am Wolverine. You're right. I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, I'm okay. He's like, can I continue? I'm like, yo, please continue. So he told us story of 60 minutes. And it was a highlight, but if I wasn't my wife, I wouldn't have that highlight.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell her yesterday. I talked to her every single day. We're still friends. It's unfortunate we're not together, but things get different when you get older, man. My priority really became, see, I'm a man. I love you. I have you. That's all I need. She's a woman. No, I love you. Where's my security? Where's my sense of security? Where's the financial security? Where's my house? Where's my picket fence? Where's my dog? It's not that women are, I don't want to say they're gold digging and they're mean. That's part of who they are. They want that sense of security that they know they have that. And they also want, if you're listening, guys, not just a man who's a man around them, but who's a man around everybody, no matter how close they are. It could be your brother, your sister, but if your brother and sister say anything to your spouse, your girlfriend, you better knock your brother and sister out. If they're really your wife, and I don't mean a girl you're dating. That's a whole nother story. I don't mean a girl you're dating. I mean like somebody who's a good wife, who you know you've done nothing wrong. If your siblings are assholes, because it could be the other way around. It could be your wife is a dick. Nothing wrong with your siblings. At that point, you tell your siblings, listen, just fucking forget it. We'll talk about it later. And then you go take care of your wife.
Yeah.
But often I've seen it happen, especially in our culture. The wife is doing nothing wrong, and their fucking siblings are dicks. And if you don't put them in place, your wife gets hurt.
Yeah.
She's like, how are you my husband? You're not defending me at all. You're playing both sides. That's not... I used to think playing both sides meant being a good human being.
Normally it would be, but not in this situation.
No, it's not.
You have to... No. But I agree with this. Unfortunately, I was never in this situation. But, yeah, you don't... And this would apply to both sexes. I'm not playing favorites here. I don't like the idea of airing dirty laundry at a family gathering, because the kind of thing you described could be something like that. No, just shut it down. Talk about it later.
Yep.
And yeah, it's possible that siblings, if somebody maybe has too much to drink, or if somebody just nursing a little bit of a grudge, they may try to get into it. And hey, sometimes you just gotta suck it up and not lose your temper.
Yeah.
And not allow somebody to, like you just said, just cool it. This isn't the time or place.
Yeah, we'll talk about this later.
Yeah.
It's how you handle things. And unfortunately, I personally, as a person, if I go back in time, would have handled it totally differently. But look, as a man, as a human being, you always grow, right? Unfortunately, the men around you, circumstances, your culture, all plays a role in what kind of person you become. And unfortunately for us, in our culture, they don't teach you to be a husband first. They teach you to be a family man first. Family man means your mother, father, brother, sister, every goddamn fucking cousin in the world, and your wife. That's not how it works, because we live in places where we have extended families.
Yeah, I said I never had to deal with that. I have a relatively small family. I have one sister. I have one aunt on my dad's side.
That's how,
one uncle on my mother's side.
That makes it so much better.
We weren't always all together, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the thing is with us, okay, even like when I was growing up, right? I grew up in Augusta, Georgia, for those who don't know. Small town. Augusta's small anyway. We lived in South
How far
Augusta.
from the golf course? Augusta
Oh,
National.
like 15 minutes.
Okay.
So, we what happened was my grandpa came like in 65, right? Well, after my grandpa came, he called his brother, my mom, everybody else, and his brother and his sister and his sister. He has like, I don't know, like 4 sisters and like 3 brothers, something like that. So everybody was living in Augusta in the same place. House after house after house after house after house. When I would go for a bike ride for 2 miles, 90% of the houses were just our family.
Wow.
So I'm just driving around, what we call in India, Pinda. Pinda is like a village.
Almost, or a kibbutz,
Yeah.
almost wherever. Yeah.
We called it Keda Pind because our last name is Keda, and that everybody else sold everybody else. So it was just it was odd going up there, but then everybody was always together on everything. Nothing happened in the house without everybody being
knowing
there.
about it. Wow.
And then if you had a fight in one family of the house, the next family knew, and you're like, what happened? We're here. What happened? Oh, so and so's coming too. Fucking 50 people at the fucking house over like a husband and wife fighting. It should be handled on its own.
Internally.
And then what made it worse was, I realize it now, and I don't blame my grandpa at all. He's the best person I know. I love him to death. I mean, I admire him so much for being such a great human being. Always smiling, always jolly. Like, my greatest memories are just hanging out with him. But he became the patriarch for everybody, including marriages. So, like, if anybody had a problem in their marriage, they went to him to solve it. That's not how it's supposed to work. I understand it probably did in India back in the day. Like, you're the head of the household, resolve this. Husband and wife gotta solve shit for themselves,
Yeah.
man.
Yep.
That's their relationship. And instead of doing that, they'd be like, Daddy, and we all call him Daddy. Daddy, this is what happened. What do you think we should do? And he was always fair. He was always good about everything. And he still took the responsibility to do it. But he didn't have to. And it's not his fault he doesn't know that. I mean, think about how much older he is.
Right.
And the generations he came from, he became the patriarch. I mean, listen, man, there's like 300 people, Jeremy, that call him Daddy. Not even by his name, not Mr. Kara, Daddy. Like, he's everybody's father. Like, everybody's father figure, that brought them here, gave them life, or gave them a new life, or gave them what they have. And I mean, I don't know anybody in my life like that, like my grandpa, that is respected from India to America in so many aspects because he was everybody's father.
Right.
But going back to relationships, unfortunately, because of my culture, it makes it difficult because you're not being left alone to have your own relationship. And I have cousins that screwed their thinking up for. A lot of them are very messed up in the head. Some of them never wanted to get married. Some of them never wanted to be in a relationship. That fear of like, we're going to end up like this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to do this.
And things I never had to worry about. Stuff that you grew up with that was never even a thought.
I mean, I have cousins who were like, just refused to marry Indian people because of that. Because our culture, some of the Indian men are very like stubborn, and I am definitely, it's weird. In some ways, I'm very typical Punjabi Jet. I like muscle cars. I like the music and the way my behavior. I think of myself a lot. I'm strong. I like to work out. But in our culture, I think we mostly treat women very fairly. And some of the men in my culture don't. They feel like they are the man and they are in charge. And it's okay to feel that way, but at the same time, you give your spouse equal say behind the door. You can do whatever you want in front of other people. A second time, my daughter all the time, right? Me and my daughter have this thing together. When we are outside in public, she would never talk back to me. She would never say no. She would never argue with me. She'd just say, okay, Papa, no problem. But we're in private, whole another fucking story. Hell no, I ain't doing that. Yeah, you think so? We argue all the time. That's okay. I don't care. There's nobody else around. We had this one fight one time, this was about 6 months ago, because She argued with me in front of my mother. And I didn't even say why. My mom didn't understand what's going on. I told her, I said, you broke the fucking rule. You know the rule. And I'm very disappointed in you. She knew exactly what I was saying. That I dared to take it there in front of her.
Right.
She's not us. Okay? That's between us, what we do on the slide. So that's the way, in an Indian marriage, you got to be there with a husband and wife. You in public, whatever. The husband's like, we're not doing this. Sure, go behind back and ask, honey, is that okay with you? We don't do this. I said it, but that's cool with you. I just want to make sure. That's totally different. That's how it's supposed to be. But a lot of Indian men are not like that, man. They think, so I hate saying they're a lot like Muslim men who think that they can just tell their wives what to do and they're just property and they should do whatever they want. And that's why a lot of my cousins do not want to get married in our culture. It's a very scary thing. I mean, they'll tell me to my face, Gaurav Veer, my name's Gaurav Veer, means brother, you're unique. Punjabi guys are not like you. They're alcoholics. They're assholes. They fight all the time. I don't drink. I, know how to fight, but I don't go around
No,
arguing
you're not
people.
looking for trouble. You're not looking to bust people's heads just because they took the bench or,
Yeah, but like even, God rest his soul, my little cousin, who I love to death. I cry so often thinking about him. It's not even funny. We were so close. But he was a typical hothead, man. We'd walk into a bar, somebody bumped into him. Fuck you doing? When we knock you the fuck out, I'm like, why? And I would just start laughing. I'm like, why do you do these things, Bobby? Why? He's like, yeah, you got my back. I'm like, of course I got your back, but come on. I mean, if I ever was really bored in life, Jeremy, and I felt like an adult, all I had to do was go hang out with him for like one day. And it was like being 19 again. And he was like, in his late 20s, almost, yeah, almost 30s, 30 something actually. And, going 32, and going with him somewhere, he was bound to act like a teenager still, Go to a baseball game, somebody throws beer, that's it, a brawl right there. No one talking about it, just full out punching, flying everywhere. And as an older brother, all you can do is, I'm going to join in. Okay, let's see what happens. But that is a lot of, and my cousins also saw that. He's also the only other boy really in the family, and that's his behavior. So what are they going to marry somebody like that also? It's hard to do. He's very loving, amazing human being. I mean, like, he would give his clothes to anybody. He would run around naked if he had to, if somebody needed his clothes. You take it, don't worry. You take it, don't worry. I don't need it, don't worry. Anything for anybody. But he had a bad temper. And that's hereditary, unfortunately, from our family.
Yeah.
So culture plays a big role in the way that my whole marriage, the way I see marriage, and I see marriage very different than dating, and very different than just hooking up with women. And I kind of wish I saw women the way you see them, because it's very nice and romantic, and it leaves you with a nice feeling. But I mean, there are nice girls I meet, but most of the time, Jeremy, when I meet a nice girl, she's engaged, married,
right,
with somebody, which is why she's the nice girl. That's why somebody found her and somebody took her and made her wifey. And even in the gym, there's a few girls I talk to that are very sweet, and yeah, they're the boyfriends. I gotta tell you one. I'm not gonna say who, but one I talk to all the time, I swear to God, I don't think her boyfriend likes me talking to her. She talks to other guys. He doesn't give a fuck. And she talks to me, she's like, "Oh, Google, she's got to work out." I'm like, "Bro, I ain't stopping her, man. Like, I'm doing my own thing too. Like, I'm not stopping your girl. Like, what are you getting mad at me for?" But always, like, if she's talking to me, instead of showing up there, like, huffing and puffing, I'm like, I don't know, man. And I don't know why people think this. Sometimes people have a bad idea about me that I want to take their girls. I won't mention who, because I don't want to embarrass anybody. Somebody me and you both know really well. From the olden days in Bevs, he doesn't go there anymore. And me and him were really close. I used to hang out with him. I used to hang out with him in Manhattan a lot. Very cool dude. I looked up to him a lot, and then he's like, "I look up to you. Look at the way you fight. You can knock me out." I'm like, "Oh, you kidding me, dude? I'm like, you're twice my size. Like, you're so cool. You're everywhere." And he got engaged, right? And his wife was also very nice, sweetheart. Like his fiance was so nice. Like I was so happy for her. I'm like, wow, you found such a nice person. So when she come to the gym, I was always there. So I would talk to her, like talk to her, hang out with her, like just that's a buddy to me. Like he's my buddy, nothing more than that. And people talk shit, man. Somebody told me, like, oh, you trying to bang your girl? Look at that. He's all up in her. He's gonna end up hitting that. And one day she lost her engagement ring, and I was frantically running around looking for it with her. And he never loses his shit. He lost his shit. Comes over and yells at me in front of everybody embarrassed. Why can't you just let her fucking work on her own? Why can't you just leave her alone? And I looked at him and I said, all right, man, I'm sorry. If you don't want me to talk to her, I won't. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm really sorry. And he knew what he did because he started looking around like, oh, shit. And we didn't talk for years after that. I left her alone. I didn't say anything. It wasn't until recently, like, a couple, like 2 or 3 years ago, we started talking again and follow each other on Instagram and stuff. And, I see him in the gym here and there. I'm like, hey, good to see you. You're looking great. But, people have this bad perception just because you talk to women that you want to do something with them. That's not true at all, man.
No.
And again, sometimes reputation has a lot to do with it. I'm sure if you were talking to her, you wouldn't be like, oh, she won't take my girl. Oh,
Right.
no, Jeremy's a nice guy.
Yeah, no, he's okay.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. He wouldn't do that. It has a lot to do with the rep that follows you around. It's unfortunate. And I have to admit, from all the shit that I did, I had a very, very, very bad reputation. And I paid the price for that many times.
Right. So my reputation was the opposite. I was the friend zone guy, basically.
I mean, that could be a nice thing because nobody cares.
Looking back on it, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because think about how many different days you and I saw each other at the gym. I don't think you and I ever had a fight. And I don't mean this.
No, never.
I mean like real vigorous, like we're on cardio. It's not like, oh, fuck it. Never. So that's good.
Yeah. Never. I'm not saying, by the way, I haven't followed anybody in the gym. I have. I've knocked out like 3 people in our gym, especially when I was 19, 20 years old. So, but no, me and Jeremy, all the time, me and Jamie, me and
Yeah.
Ron. It's funny. I was thinking, because you asked me that question about promiscuity and all that shit. Ron is the only person who probably knows all my stories. Because, like, he would just catch me at, like, where I just came from some girl's place or something just happened. And he would be like, tell me. And he's I love Ron's face. Fucking mouth just wide open.
Yeah, his eye. Oh, I can see it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Tell me more. I'm like, it's not special. Him, and I remember, for some reason, every time I got in a big brawl, I ended up in the gym and Malcolm would be there.
Malcolm's one of the funniest people I've ever met.
And Malcolm, what happened to your
I
hand?
can still hear his laugh.
He
has a great laugh.
What happened to your hand? They tell him the story. He's like, the fuck kind of life do you live? I'm like, adventurous one. He's like, I can't even imagine getting hit by somebody. I'm like, oh, that's fun, dude. And him and because they used to train together a lot.
Yeah,
Malcolm and
Ron.
So, we'd like tell stories. They're like, we got nothing to fucking tell, man. And the funny part is, like, I tell you and I tell him, and I don't know. You guys know me longer. Ron's known me for a while too. So, depending on how long you know me, they're believable. But like, you look at me now, you're watching me on YouTube, you're like, oh, this guy, sure. And the same thing happened with my friends in college. I made them, after all this shit happened, Jeremy, all this shit was done and shit, and my life had completely changed. The shoulder surgery, no more friends, no more partying, no more anything, no more clubbing, no more fighting, no more anything. Just straight out trying to get finish my bachelor's. Just finished working at Morgan Stanley, trying to figure out what to do in my life. Just me and my wife, nothing else. Meet this guy who I met first year of college, and I started talking to him. I'm like, fuck, I remember this guy. I totally dissed him. I remember my friend was like, can we take him to a party? I'm like, this guy's cockblock. We're not taking him with me. Can you look at him? Look at him. Fuck no. But he was really nice to me, and I was like, yo, you want to hang out? He said, yeah, come back to my room. We'll play video games. I'm like, cool. He became my best buddies. He actually lived with me for like a year at my parents' house with me. I love the guy. Rago was like a brother to me. But, like, I didn't even know him till then. And then he kind of meeting almost the way I am now is what he was meeting. and his roommate or one of our friends that he had, also this kid Rajiv Radoshi, we met at the same time. Another really quiet, sweet, kind, homely, family kind of guy, you know. And all three of us hung out almost every day together. But their vision of me, kind of what you see now. And even if I tell them these stories and stuff, they'll be like, "That didn't happen." They're kind of like thinking this is like my fantasy world, and I'm living in another world. Until one day it finally came in their face that all that really happened because a girl told them that really happened. A girl my Raghav started dating. When I told you there was one girl I couldn't get, she was the one girl.
Right.
And she was banging him, and they were together, and they started talking how they missed me so much because I wasn't there to hang out with them because I went to watch The Matrix 2 and I couldn't come with them. I went to watch everything with my wife. I don't watch everything with anybody else. And they're like, "Oh, we miss Ken." And she's like, "Ken who?" Like, "Oh, our buddy." She's like, "Not that male chauvinistic pig, right?" Like, no, our friend is great. He's like, "Oh, thank God, that asshole, he fucked every girl in this college." And they're like, "Oh, definitely not our friend. No, our friend is great." And then pulls out a picture. Now, I don't look the same either. That's another thing that me and Jamie was talking about. I look so different every couple of years. So she's like, he looks a little bit like that guy, just a lot chubbier and a lot more smiley. And his hair looks a little different. She's like, "Well, does he have any brothers, sisters?" Like, "Yeah, he has a brother." She's like, "No, it's not like the same guy." So he calls me in the car and he's like, "Oh, we're going to the movies and Aisha's with us." I'm like, "Aisha, who?" And I couldn't figure out. I'm like, "Can't be the same girl. Well, what are the chances? What are the chances?" Like, "Oh yeah, she has like two sisters." I'm like, "Oh my fucking God, no, she has two sisters." Like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, you want to say hi to you?" She goes to the phone. She's like, "Hey." I'm like, "Hi, how are you?" She's like, "Who's this?" I'm like, "This is Ken." And she's like, "I don't know you, do I?" I'm like, "I don't know. You tell me." And she's like, "You trying to bang me for 2 years?" I'm like, "Oh my God. Can you not tell them that?" And she's like, "Oh my God. Oh, I tell her for 5 minutes. Oh my God." And she's like, "How are you friends with this disgusting? You know, I don't even want to hang out with you guys anymore. This is the kind of company you keep? This is your friend? He's disgusting." But they went on and on. And then she started telling me all these stories. "Oh, he was at this party. He banged these two Asian chicks. And then he came back. And he was at this party. He left with this other girl and came back." And my friends look at each other like, "Wait, so those weren't just make believe stories from like a Playboy magazine? Those are real?" And I got a phone call the next day from both of them, like together, like, "Hold on, so you weren't just making that shit up?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh my God, why do you live such a boring life now?" I'm like, "It's not boring, guys. I said I love you guys. I love hanging out with you guys, and I love my wife. I don't want to cheat on her. For what?" And they're like, "But you sound like a scumbag." I'm like, "I was. I was this guy. I was. I was like, I told my friend, I'm like, "Do you remember? I didn't want to fucking hang out with you." He's like, "I don't remember." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, and I feel bad about it. I called you cockblock. Literally to your face. That was like, he's not cool enough to even go out with us to a party." And he's like, "Oh, you said that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I hate you." I'm like, "I love you too. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want me to say I was a bad person. I was very, very vain." That's the one thing Michelle used to always say to me. She's like, "You were so vain." I'm like, "I know." She's like, "Put a shirt on." I'm like, "Do I have to?" But I think God teaches you lessons.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why I think, the shoulder, all the injuries, want to help other people all the time now. I learned how to train. I'm certified in 3 different things. I know how to tell people. I know how to diagnose injuries, fix injuries, help injuries, all the shit I've been through. Plus, it made me less vain because it's not about looks.
Right.
And to me, it was all about the dude. I would comb my hair during a fight. Middle of the fight, I'm like, "Oh shit, is that a place?" I had no hair.
My hair. Travolta, Saturday Night Fever. It takes me a long time to do it. My hits it. He
Yeah.
hits my hair.
Yeah. I get it. I was the same way, and now I have no hair. So it's like, but that's the whole thing. And like, I really, really, really wish to God I know about women when it comes to women and how I feel. I wish I felt more like you. Because even, I'll be honest with you, and nobody really knows this, and I'll just admit it here. I have been talking to somebody now for, my God, since February. we've only met once, I talked on the phone here and there, and a lot of bad circumstances. She got sick and they're going back to her mom's, and not a very she's independent, but her job goes back and forth, things like that. And I've been talking to her now for almost all these months. We talk every day, here and there. How are you, this and that. Um, I always tell this. I find it so shady that she doesn't want to FaceTime and stuff, but she wants to keep her life private. I don't know the whole thing, Jeremy. What's going on with her? You know, I used to think she's not even real. I think she's a fucking artificial intelligence because she's way too good looking to be human. But she is. She sent me like random pictures from like a concert or like the bathroom or like so she's not making it up. Like this is her just walking around. Okay, I get her real name, I get everything. I don't know what the full deal with her is, but she's nice to me every single day, kind to me every day, cares, wants to know what's going on. That's the closest thing I have to a real relationship. And it's not a physical one, it's a emotional one.
Right.
And I always tell when things are better and perhaps if I'm better off and you decide to get a bigger place, you just come live with me, it's fine. And it's funny, that's the thing with her, again, I'm assuming the man's role. I'm like, don't worry, I'll take care of it.
Right.
I'll take care of you. You don't have to do anything. You just, try and do a little job here and there to keep yourself busy and, contribute a little bit to the household. But that's really, I don't need anything from you. You just be kind to me. That's it. That's all I'm asking. Which she is. And that's no reason why when I was dating all these stupid hoes back and forth, I'm like, the girl I talked on the phone is better than you. She's a better human being than you. She goes to church. She prays to God. She's God-fearing. I like that a lot in a person when they're like, they're spiritual at least or have some sort of belief in something higher or like, that's a praise for you. That means more to me than like, let me suck your cock. That's great. But like, why don't you go, I'd rather you pray for me instead. That's nice. I mean, I've had that before, but how about the other one? That'd be
Right.
nice.
Right.
And even like, I don't know about you, but also it's something, last thing I'll say is like, when you get older, if sometimes sex gets finally played out after a while, it just becomes, I don't know, mundane unless somebody's really good at it. For me, at least, it's become, unless you're really good at it, don't bother. It's okay. I get bored right away. Even like just I don't know, man. What people call the average sex isn't not average to me. It's boring as hell to me. Things that were okay when I was 18, 19, it's up in like 20 to 24. That's just boring as fuck to me.
Right. I think because I was so delayed that it's different. Because I was like literally 15 or more years older
Yeah.
than, well, you in one, but a lot of people. So there is always, at least for me, there is a sense of newness and freshness even now, even at my advanced age.
But it's got to be exciting though, man. I miss that. It's got to be like, oh, this is awesome. Like this is like
Well, so then I tell people all the time that I'm one of the luckiest people they'll ever meet in their life, and I guess my outlook being so much more positive than it used to be is one thing, which is good.
Yeah.
The fact that I still have a very sort of romanticized view of men and women, relationships, etc.
Yeah.
And I have a romanticized view of Star Wars, And
True.
the one thing I did want to ask you, again, we were talking about completely different stuff. We only touched on movies a little, but so my question, and I didn't think to ask it when we did our Star Wars show. So and he told a story how his first experience seeing Star Wars Episode 4, he didn't like it.
That sucked.
And my story was the opposite. I'm, again, 4 or 5 years older than him, and I was a little boy, 4 or 5 years old, hearing about Star Wars, and I wasn't able to see it till I was 9, because in 1983, there was no streaming, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I loved Star Wars Episode 4 from the first viewing. Wow, dazzled me. He had heard about it, and he saw it, and these fucking robots.
So
This
bored.
is bullshit. This sucks. So you liked... So I'm remembering the different Star Wars conversations we had here, and some of the TV shows, Obi-Wan. you didn't unabashedly love Empire Strikes Back the first time through. Okay, so it's not that he picked up Empire, holy fuck, but you like the training sequences,
Yeah.
Yoda. Okay, well, this is interesting.
Yeah, that was cool.
So what was the turning point? Because clearly now, if somebody says, hey, Kenny, I really, really like Star Wars Episode 4, you're not going to say, fucking idiot. You know, you're not
Honestly,
going to...
I'll tell you, I get choked out. Just it's pretty funny. I watched the scene yesterday that got me to Star Wars. Not that I'm a dad.
See, I didn't... now I got them all emotional.
I started crying yesterday watching it because now it's even more to me. It was meant a lot at that age, and now that I'm a dad, it's so much more. It's such a simple scene, guys. Luke Skywalker gives himself to Vader, and they're in the elevator, and he's just staring at his dad. He's looking at him for the first time, looking at him like, this is my father.
Underneath this.
Yeah, I know he's there. I know he loves me. And they walk out of the elevator, and he tells him, he's like, I know who you are, Father. And he's like, oh, if we finally accepted the truth. He's like, I accept the truth that you were once Anakin Skywalker, my father. He's like, that name means nothing to me. He's like, it's the name of your true self that you've only forgotten. But I know it's in there. And I know that's why you won't turn me to the Emperor. That love that he knew, like, no matter what, you are my dad.
Right.
So no matter how much you want to fight that, you cannot fight the fact that I am your blood. I am the one you give birth to. And it meant so much to me, like in the movie, like he was fighting him, back and forth lightsabers, and somewhere in the whole time, his father's like, "This is my son.
I don't want to kill my own kid.
Yeah, I'm fighting him, but
right.
This is my son. This is my son.
I should be proud of him.
Yeah,
he's the Jedi that I should have been.
And
or
in a
could
way,
have been.
I felt like he was when he's like, "Oh, your skills are almost complete." Like he was like, he saw his lightsaber. He's like, "Oh, almost a Jedi."
You built a new lightsaber.
Good.
You constructed a new lightsaber.
I felt like even though he was supposed to be his enemy, his father, he was kind of proud of him in that moment. He's like, "Wow, look how far my son's gotten without my guidance."
Yeah.
Without anything,
without turning to the dark side.
Yeah, and he's still become a Jedi, and he's very powerful. And even like when he was fighting him, like in the throne room, they're going back and forth, back and forth. And I'm thinking in Vader's head, Luke doesn't want to hurt his dad doesn't want to hurt him, but they're still fighting with each other. Like he's like, stop this! You don't want to do this, and he doesn't want to admit, yeah, I don't want to do this, but I kind of have to because this is just who I am now. And that whole internal confidence would really, really, really drove me in. And until the ending of that scene where, the Emperor is like, it's too late. And then he's like, just only at the end do you now understand. And then he's like frying the shit out of Luke. And you see Vader looking there, looking there, looking there, looking here, looking at Emperor, looking at Luke. He's like, no. He's my son. No, he's my son. No, fuck. He's my son. What am I doing? And just suddenly all the hate, all the nastiness, the years of killing people,
force choking people just for saying, well, I don't know if I agree with you, Lord. But
yeah, all that just dips away. And he's like, oh my God, this is my son. And he just picks up the Emperor and just tosses him like a cookie, knowing full well that he's going to fucking die after this.
Yeah.
Not giving a shit.
Yeah, his costume is not costume, but his
the hatred
protection.
At that point, it was the hatred that kept him alive.
Yeah,
the soul had died and been wearied for so long that hate kept him going. And when he finally, loving him was like the last breath that Vader finally took as a living being. But the true Vader had died when the costume came on.
Yeah,
and when he said, "I just want to see you with my own eyes once," and he looks at him and thanks him like, thank you.
Yeah.
You brought really what was inside back to me. Dude, that whole scene I saw the first time and I was like, I have to watch this whole fucking thing. How did this happen?
Now, I was blown away by the movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6. But I thought it was amazing that Darth did the opposite of what they call a heel turn in wrestling. He did a face turn at the last possible second.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the movie, and the first time I saw Return of the Jedi, I don't think, again, there were no real spoilers. You had to read fan magazines and stuff. There's, again, nothing like now.
No internet, buddy. No internet.
Right, but I feel like when I was watching the scene, I thought that he was going to turn. I said, I don't think he's going to kill him here. But so yes, it worked for me story wise. I said, wow, that's fantastic. So it's like this terrible person, because remember, we hadn't had the prequels. We didn't know, and I wasn't thinking, well, he was probably a cute Jake Lloyd looking boy
Right,
at a
we have
certain
no
point.
idea.
None of
Yeah.
that stuff was in
Yeah.
it. This was a deadly, devastating, horrible dreadnought of a being, not
Yeah.
even a person
No, not even a
underneath
person.
that. He
No.
was a dreadnought.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, wow, he just did something. He did something good, and then you see that he's just basically a little old man now
Yep.
underneath this suit.
Yeah.
And he, in his last moments, has returned to the light, and it works. But see, I already love the movies. It's a phenomenal ending.
Yeah.
But it didn't make it. It made you rethink
Oh,
episodes 4 and 5.
I went back to the whole thing after that. That's what did. And what's really funny? I really wish. I don't know why they do these things. I wish Lucas had kept the original ending of Return of the Jedi. The original ending was not like the way it ended. It ended with the whole celebration, all this shit, and blah blah blah. The original ending is so much more powerful. The original ending was they're all having a party, everybody, the Ewoks and Han Solo, everybody else, and along far away you see Luke Skywalker carrying his father's body, putting it on a pyre, burning it, and he's holding his father's helmet, and he starts to cry, and he's just looking at me. He looks at the helmet, and he goes, "The Jedi failed you, and I will never forgive them. I'll be more." And then he walks away. That's when he goes to start the new Jedi Temple all over again. But that that remorse for his father, that you were failed, that somebody along the way failed you, and I'm so sorry. It's much more powerful to me than a bunch of little teddy bears jumping around.
Yeah.
But I understand marketing wise for kids.
Fucking Ewoks.
I know.
And listen, they were really cute, and they did serve a story purpose.
Yeah, they
but
did.
as I said on the Star Wars podcast, the first 5 hours of Star Wars,
Yeah.
episode 4, 5, and right up until the Ewoks show up, is so good.
Yeah.
It almost feels like one long Tarantino-esque movie,
Yeah.
because each blends into the other, and the fact that whether this was intended, Empire Strikes Back from a tonal perspective is so much different than A New Hope.
Oh yeah.
Where you have
Yeah.
the multiple, and it's something that I thought Lucas did well with Phantom Menace, is that there's 3 parallel lines of action at the end. I thought the climax was great.
I did like that because it was there's 3 running stories at one time, which I really appreciate. I don't like linear things, to be honest with you. I enjoy that. And my mom does too. When we watch any kind of series or something on Netflix, if it's got multiple parallel lines running,
Right.
if it's a little complex, we fall in love. My father goes ape shit. What the fuck is going
Right,
on?
and that's the trick with editing, and sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you don't. And in Empire, Irvin Kershner, terrific filmmaker,
So good.
he figured out the timing, and Lucas may have been with him. I don't know them again. Nowadays, we would know something like
I
that,
know,
but
I
that
know.
stuff wasn't necessarily recorded as who was. But he had to calibrate perfectly, because you think they shoot all of the scenes Dagobah, which is basically, and Mark Hamill took some shit. Well, he really didn't do that good. He spent 2 months of his life acting opposite a Muppet.
Yeah, yeah.
A Muppet. It wasn't animated.
No.
Frank Oz. So he had to do that. But the point is, Hamill spent so much time by himself.
Yeah.
He probably was going a little stir crazy. I'm acting up like a fucking puppet over here. This is ridiculous.
You ever seen that documentary about how making that?
Yeah.
I think it was one of the sets. It's like a 2-hour-long documentary. It was fantastic, man. To watch them make different versions of Yoda
Right.
and try and figure it out the best one.
And I like I said, I love this kind of stuff. That's animatronic effects, model work versus computer. But in the specific, because we could go into a half-hour conversation about that. Specific to Empire, that you have Han's story,
Yeah.
Leia, the droids, who play a pretty big role. The Emperor might be gracious enough.
Well, the droids are the biggest role. One thing I loved about the whole Star Wars in general is, starting with episode 1, they were there for the entire thing.
They saw it all.
They've seen, especially R2D2, because his memory was
Yep.
never wiped.
That's right.
C-3PO has memory wiped, but R2D2 knows exactly who Anakin is, who Luke is, who Leia is. Like, he knows all the relationships of who's who to who.
Right.
And that's why he tends to favor certain people.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, you're so-and-so's son. Oh, I should go to you. And another fuck up with goddamn Star. I hate what they did to 789. The reason he was supposed to go to Rey was because Rey was Anakin reborn, and he felt her soul.
Right.
That's why he runs to her, like, oh, my maker, you came back to life. See, they had such a great script that they had written, even after destroying Lucas' script. When they wrote that script, I
Right.
thought it was great. And then
Okay, before you get yourself worked up, because we don't want to be here forever, just take heed, is that they will, at a certain point, probably soon, they will retcon it, and they will course correct. And Lucas course corrected in certain things, and again, years ago, people were upset that he sweetened the special effects, and you literally can't find, unless some renegade uploaded it to YouTube, you cannot find, as far as I know, the original 1977 theatrical version of Episode 4. I don't think it exists.
It's very hard to find.
Like, there might be a bootleg VHS, but even the original VHS, I don't think it was exactly the same as what people saw.
You could find the re-release version, which still had the lightsabers were redone.
Okay.
They were made much more brighter.
Yeah, because when I first saw it on HBO, there were a couple of shots where, well, that looks like a stick that he has here. That's what I'm talking about.
So that is what they used to look when they re-released it. The 90s almost.
97, you mean?
Yeah, 97.
Yeah.
At that point, there was one extra scene added, and all the lightsabers were just remastered.
Right. Well, of course, they re-added the Jabba scene.
Yeah, but that was about it at that point, 97. Now, this is what I'm waiting for. I don't know what the hell they're waiting for. Re-release 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in theater immediately. But please add to, there have been so many good short movies made for 4, 5, and 6 as add-ons. 2 scenes that look like they belong in the damn movie.
Yeah.
That hyped the movie up so much more. The scene I sent you to Umber, my niece.
Right.
She was blown away. She was like, "Oh my god,
that was great."
She's like, this is so canon. This is so sick.
Yep.
I'm like, I know, and it felt right. Even like the second, I know it wasn't real, but the secondary Vader, the one they put in, felt Obi-Wan, the way he was walking, like marching, and the lightsaber just comes to him like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like, it was so, like, he felt the anger right there. And that one scene where he was looking at Obi-Wan, and you hear, all the thoughts in his head. I hate you. Anakin, I'm sorry. That's so perfect.
Yep.
With him watching Obi-Wan lay there, and he's like, yes, now it's my time to do this to you. And, and they cut it in so perfectly. I wish, they could do that with Empire. They could add in scenes with Yoda already training Luke to look a little bit more like that.
Yeah.
And it would look perfect. Look what they did with Sebastian, it was looking like Luke. It was Luke.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like looking at Luke. Before we go, I know we're supposed to talk about women and relationships, and
we covered a lot of that, though.
We did.
Really did.
And it's really funny, though, because with you here, I swear to God, I feel like I was much nicer than I usually am. Because I feel like you're right. It's experiences,
you've had a rough go of it. So if I help you to, dare I say, see a little bit of the light side, because you do identify with Anakin, and sometimes you identify with Darth Vader.
It's true. I wish that like I said, I had more kinder view of them, which is okay that I don't, but I wish that women were more like the way they used to be when I was younger. But at the same time, however women are today, I've learned to understand that and live with it. I'm okay with it now.
Right, because the reality is that as pessimistic as you might feel, when you get into the situation, you're still going to be a nice guy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, nice, but see,
that's important, though, because the world maybe has changed your thinking, but it has not. Like, you're not going to act like a bitter old man.
No. But
you're going to act like your normal self.
But the way I approach it now is different. It's like when I meet a really nice girl, I almost expecting that she's going that I know what she wants, what she's looking for in a guy, and it's not just a relationship. So I don't even push for that.
Right.
I understand she just wants to have sex so she can't have sex anymore, and then have things that she wants. Oh, I need this. Can I have this? And it's sad because it. I was telling this one girl, this is like months ago. I'm like, you know what prostitution is? She's like, yeah, that's horrible. I'm like, yeah, to sleep with somebody and then expect money or valuables in return. I know, right? That's like, it's like crazy. I'm like, didn't you just want a phone from me after banging me for a week? And she's like, that's totally different. I'm like, is it? Because I don't think so. And like, I don't, and it's not. I don't blame them, Jeremy. They don't know. They don't understand that where their feminist movement has gotten them has put them in that situation. I think it's okay. Look, I'm not as mean as some of these podcasters. I have actually seen. I saw a podcast yesterday. He was like, "You're all a bunch of gold diggers." Like, no, I'm not. And he's like, and he kind of proved his point. He was like, "You gonna date somebody who's amazing but works at McDonald's?" No. Would a guy date somebody who worked at McDonald's? Yeah. And they go, "That's okay. She works at McDonald's. I still love her." It would. Perfect example. I know somebody in the gym who was very, very, very famous. I won't say anybody to leave it the way it is, but really rich, a lot of money. He married somebody who had a mean little job. Nothing job. Nothing, like secretary. I don't give a fuck. He's like, why would I care what she does? But vice versa, you think the woman's going to be like, oh, he doesn't do anything. It's okay. I'm cool with that. This is never going to happen. And again, it's just the way it is. But I think if we don't understand that going into dating world, you're going to have a hard time. And you don't want to end up being the other 80% of men that just never get anything. I can't imagine how frustrating it is. Look, I'm 44.
Wait, now it's 80. I thought it was 90%.
Yeah,
Is that the same percent?
It's actually 90.
I was paying attention.
I meant be the other 90% that doesn't really get anything.
Yeah,
I can't.
But it's okay to be alert. It's okay to know that this is possible. This is possible. So I'm not. I mean, I never saw myself as particularly idealistic when it came to these things, but I guess I still am, or I still have it in me, despite the ups and downs. And it's okay to have stuff that you don't want, and go with it. For example, if you feel that a person you are communicating with, maybe have started seeing, if your sense is she just wants me because of what I can provide, then stop seeing her.
Yeah.
So like you and I agree there, but
absolutely.
I feel like you might at this point get angrier, whereas I'll just kind of shrug my shoulders and say, all right,
I think I get angry because I think sometimes I think those women can be a lot more. They're pretty, they're nice, they got everything going on, they're great in bed, they know how to take care of their man. But because of their mentality, they can't go further to wifey status. And it's because of what they've learned. So I get angry not because I'm mad at them for being that way. I'm mad at them, you could be so much more. Like, you could be wifey, but you don't have that mentality and even know what that means. And it's almost against what you've been taught. So it's kind of upsetting when I'm like, this could be so good, man. And just, by the way, when I post this up, it's going to be 2 parts. This will be part 2 we're talking at this point. It's too long.
Yeah.
But before I go, I'm already late anyway. I want to get to work on it, and I will go anyway. But one thing, we touched on this. I'm going to keep this, and I'll put this in the podcast and the title so everybody understands. We're men. And I'm going to, it's going to be adult conversations. If you guys don't want to hear this, don't hear this. If you're a kid, maybe shut your ears. If you're shy, don't hear this. I was talking about sex being, mundane. And you were saying that it's still like, something you really enjoy a lot, and it's awesome. Do you think that women enjoy that more? That it's so like, you think everything's awesome? Or do you think they're like,
yes,
yeah?
I do. Because
I think you're right.
I do believe that, again, they have to be really attracted to you. Like, we'll assume all of that.
Assume all that, right?
We'll assume all of that. If I appear to be attempting to go the extra mile, or if I come across as if I am really engaged with them, that I am very present as they are, of course it makes a difference.
I'm very present. Okay, another perfect example. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they all want you to wear a condom, right?
Yeah.
Right. The second I hear that, I'm like, oh, fuck. Shoot. Like I look at them like, you know how old are you? Like I'm like, well, I'm not gonna feel anything. It's gonna suck.
Oh, so never had that. I've never had that
Well,
conversation.
yeah,
I've never voiced that concern, complaint,
it
nothing.
wasn't a concern 10 years ago. Even it was just okay. It won't be as good, but it'll be all right. Now it's to the point like, do you want to have sex for 55 minutes, have nothing happen? Is that your goal? Is that your goal to get raw out? And I remember this one girl didn't listen to me, and she was like, oh, "I can make you come." I'm like, "Okay." No joke, man. Like 5 positions later, 45 minutes later, she has literally come like 6 times. She is like just exhausted, and she looks at me and she's like, "You're really not gonna come, are you?" I'm like, "Not even close." Not. I'm like, I'm just at this point, I'm just doing cardio, honey. I'm just, I'm just working the muscles out. And I felt bad, but listen, I warned you ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been having sex for almost 20 years, like 9 times a day. You do the math, man. Like it's a lot of usage. And that's not including blowjobs, masturbation, everything else you can throw it together. It's a lot of usage, man. It's one appendage. So she just, I felt bad for her, but that's what happened. And you know, I just think it must be so nice, like when you're with a girl, and like I can't imagine how nice it must feel because for me, it's like it's got so much to depend on oral skills. Is she really good at it? If she's not, it's not going to be that great. For you, I'm sure it doesn't even matter. I'm sure as long as you're getting to have sex, it's good.
Well, this is going to sound very self-serving, but I can have a very satisfying sexual experience without actually climaxing.
Oh, I do. That's just a thing. I mean, I don't know if any people know that men can have multiple orgasms, but I have actually, like, my ex girlfriend can attest to this. I will have like small orgasms again and again and again, and again. Maybe like 10, 15 actually. But I have a lot of self control from having so much sex, so I can do that and not actually ejaculate, and that's a much bigger orgasm. So,
Right. Yeah, I've never had what you were talking about,
well,
but
it's just a lot of practice, man. It's just
you
a lot
learn
of self
how to
control.
right, but you learn that there are certain I mean, it's not to sound like a schmuck, but if I'm balanced on my left middle toe, I can't whatever it is,
Yeah,
you figure out there are certain things that you can do
yeah,
where if your only goal is the satisfaction of your partner,
yeah.
well, then that's okay. And I'm
And
all right with that.
and
It's okay.
I think there's
Because
also
it's so easy for a guy, and it's
yeah.
not as easy. In most cases, there's outliers on all sides. But generally speaking, it's a lot easier for a guy to get to the finish
It's
line.
supposed to be, but it's the opposite for me now.
But that's why I said generally speaking.
Yeah,
I'm always giving myself outs, as we say in poker. You've got to give himself an out here.
I've always one thing. I guess I've always enjoyed the female body in general. I think the women are beautiful. So pleasing a woman was just something I was very good at from the beginning. I don't know if you. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, where'd you learn from?" Maybe from watching porn. I don't know. But like from day one, like making out, sucking on the ear, the neck, and all that, and even like as far as getting oral, like I was just always good at it from like day one. Maybe because I actually enjoy what I do. But that being said, women are always pleased. Um, I guess I understand women's bodies, and when the first time with a girl, that's what I'm doing the most. Like I was with this one woman over a year ago, and she was older, and she was really surprised because she was my age. Um, we started going at it, and then I found what what it is for her. What the special thing is for her, like where her G spot is and everything. And once I found it, I just don't let it go. And she was just like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like she was just like blown away. Like she had her head over her pillow, like screaming. Finally after like 20 minutes, like she just couldn't take it anymore. And she's like, "How the hell did you do that?" I'm like, "Well, nothing. I just figured it out. Everybody has their own trigger.
Right.
Everybody has their thing. You just have to explore for like 5 or 10 minutes to figure that out, and then the rest is easy." And with guys, there's no exploration.
Oh,
It's just one thing. You just make sure you do a good job, and then it's okay. But
yeah.
unfortunately for me, like you know, even if a woman got on top of me and did her thing, that's not gonna make me come. It
No.
has to be, a little something special, and there's certain things I like also. Plus, I'm I mean, I'm sure when you're the girl, you're looking at a more loving thing too, right? So it's probably a loving event. It's like not, BDSM and all this other shit and all this other nastiness. And
No.
then when I'm with a girl, I don't know what the fuck happens to women, what the hell comes out on them, what kind of animal comes out. But it'll be like 2 minutes in, choke me. And let me tell you, I'm going to talk about this later in another podcast. How hard it is for men to understand this shit with women, especially when you're younger. I scared the shit out of me in my teens. I'm like, choke you? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
No. Punch? What?
Blue Velvet, right?
Yeah.
Kyle MacLachlan, he's living a fantasy. He's with Isabella Rossellini, hot older woman, and all of a sudden he's into it. She goes, hit me. He goes, what?
No, it scared the shit out of me.
Hit
dude.
me! Hit me!
Yeah, and now, now it's so funny. 5 minutes in, I just usually wrap my big ass hand around their neck, right? Like, yes. I'm like, why do you guys like this shit? I have no idea. But sex for me, and I missed this, I'll be honest with you. I can't imagine last time was loving, man. I really, I know it sounds so silly as a man. I can't remember the last time it was a romantic, loving thing. It always becomes a filthy fuck fest of like fucking juices and fucking whips and fucking toys and I mean everything you could think of possible you shouldn't do being done. And then don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm very proud of myself 2 hours later when the person's laid out like this knocked out
Right.
in a puddle of their
Oh, it's like UFC. It's
Yeah.
tapping out.
Yeah. That's really funny. I actually had a girl tap out last time. Oh my, it felt so bad, man. You know what? She was mad tiny. She was tiny, and like she did say when we started, she's like, "Oh boy." And I am not for someone who's watching the podcast. I'm not a big guy. Okay, I'm just very average in my opinion. All right.
He's being modest. His real last name is Holmes.
I wish. And she was like, "Oh no." I'm like, "What? Oh no." I'm like, "I ain't that big." And we started. She had a little bit of a hard time, and I'm like, "I don't want to hurt this girl." I'm like, "Listen, you don't know." She really wanted to though. And man, once we were in doggy, she just like, I suck you off. I'm like, "What?" She's like, "No, I can't." I'm like, "Okay, I don't want to hurt you. I'm sorry. No problem. That's fine." But it was like, it's a longevity thing too, Jeremy. That's another thing. Another girl wanted me to wear a condom. So you're talking about 30 minutes in, not 5 minutes in.
Right.
She I can't anymore. Like, holy crap, like enough.
Yeah.
But now wearing condom is only reserved for like a girlfriend. Somebody who you trust you're going to be with and you love, and that's a whole other thing. Then I do miss Max for that. Like we didn't have to. It was very nice. It was loving, and still for her, I would hold out as much as possible so she could enjoy herself. Like 45 minutes, an hour, as much as possible as I could. But sometimes I actually felt used. I was like, listen, you're about to pass out of the 8th time, and I'm still like on 1 here. Like this isn't cool, man. But that's just the way. When you love somebody, you're okay giving for them. So
yeah.
But next time I have to get more into the. I just don't want to give the podcast to the point where people are like, we can't listen to this with my kids here. But sex is a major thing for guys, man. It really is, and it varies so much from age to age to age. Like what you've seen, what you've done. The things that I probably do with a girl, you'd probably be like appalled, like what the fuck is wrong with you? Whereas like the things you do, I remember being like that. I remember, and I gotta tell you, when you get to my age, you miss that. You miss having that kind of feel, that kind of love, that kind of intimacy, because smacking each other around is not intimacy, okay? It is in a way, a little bit, but it's really kind of not. The intimate moments happen afterwards almost, where you're like, "Oh, let me get you some water. Are you okay? Like, you want anything?" Then you kind of sit there together and lay together. But the act becomes so depraved, and so just like it's like people say that sex not like porn. I don't know who the fuck said that, man. I can't imagine one time when it wasn't like porn, from like even being like 3, 4 girls at one time. It's literally like watching porn, and it's aggressive and fun. But I gotta tell you, when I was from 18 to about 20, it was always romantic, nice, loving, kind, still fun, still good. And from like 25 onward, man, like it just got worse as I got older. I gotta tell you. So on that note, so we're still talking about women. See, we didn't go that far off.
No, we really didn't. Even when I had my movie asides, and the Star Wars thing was definitely, we were talking about why my friend here became a fan, unlike
Yeah.
me, who immediately loved the movies. Took him some time.
I do love. Actually, I sent you that video yesterday of
Yeah.
It was they're showing Anakin, they're showing Luke, and that line, he's like my father before me. It's always gets me. I'm like,
Right.
just that's what every child wants to be, if not as good or be greater than their father. So their father looks at them like, job well done. Like people
Right.
remember you, not me. Every father wants that for their child. My daughter gets older. I don't care if people know me or not. I want them to know her. I started this podcast. She's 12. It has her name on it, and she does it once a week with me because I want one day for her to be strong enough to go out in the world herself and put herself out there and say, "Hey, I'm here." And hopefully that starts with this first step for her.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's what everybody wants for their children. So I'm blessed that I have a child. I wish, honestly, Jeremy, I always say I wish I had like 10 more, man. I wish I had kids running around everywhere.
My mom always said she wanted more than 2, but she was happy and blessed to have the 2. So.
Yeah, at least she had 2. I only got 1. I wish I had I wish I had a boy as far as much as a girl. Like somebody could really smack the shit out of. Come here, boy.
Yeah.
Be a man. No, I'm kidding. I love you. Come here. But it's a very different relationship having a son than having a daughter. And your daughter can be your best friend, but she's also the love of your life. Your daughter, your husband, your dad, your son is your best friend, but he's also like the person you pick on the most too. In a nice way. Not making them feel like shit, but like, guy you take to the gym with you, push around, you can make him more. You can help him become If I had a son, man, my son would be a stud by the time he's 12. Because I know exactly what everybody's looking for. He'd be jacked, he'd be ripped, he'd be a fighter. He'd take dance classes. He would be the man in high school because I'd make sure that he has a great high school life and he has all the qualities necessary to give him that.
Yeah.
At the same token, I made my son to be a little geek, bro. And I'm okay with that too. If that's his route that makes him happy, cool, dude. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it as far as you may. If my son was gay, like, yo, that's cool, bro. You do you. It doesn't matter. You're still my son. I'm not gonna judge. Who am I to judge anything? If you're happy, you're happy.
Yeah.
I tell my daughter that all the time. Because the question comes up now about sexuality. She's like, what if I like girls? I'm like, that's cool. It don't bother me. That's up to you. I said, I said half the women in the world are bisexual anyway. So what are you worried about?
Yeah.
She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, it's more women thing than a man thing. So, I just wanted to feel comfortable with how she feels always. So
Yeah.
anyway, KBC, I'm out. Thank you for listening, guys. And this is gonna be, if you're hearing this, you're hearing the second part. Because I'm gonna post this twice actually next week. So
yeah, we didn't even really necessarily run over. We knew this was going to be a long one.
Yeah.
And other than the Star Wars stuff, we really didn't stray that far from what you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we stayed on women, which is it. But there's just so much to talk about it, and I really want to do this with you because your perspective is so untainted. I missed that perspective because I think right now, if I call anybody else in here, if I call John in here, if I call Jamie in here, anybody, they literally pretty much feel like me.
Right. They have had maybe similar experiences, maybe not as many experiences, but that they have had the kinds of downs and crushing things where it jaded them, if you want to use that word.
Yeah, even one of my good friends, I want to say who right now. I mean, he's going through so much. Jeremy, he broke last night.
Yeah, I'm sorry about
He
that.
fucking just broke because he's loved the same person for years and she cannot make up her mind. And now he's been chasing her again for weeks. And after finally chasing her for weeks, and he's hurting himself the entire time.
Yeah.
the whole time he's waiting, looking at the phone, trying to figure it out. And just when it seemed like she was like, maybe she wants to talk, he's like, what am I doing? He got to that point where he hit a wall.
Yeah.
Just done.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? And I heard in his voice the second he talked to him, like, okay, he's at that point. Okay. And he thought I was going to be like, no, don't go. I was like, no, you're right. It's over. What do you mean? I'm like, I hear it in your voice. I know that feeling. This is when you've had enough. She's broken you. She's made you feel bad about yourself and bad about the whole situation. You just want to walk away for now and maybe you think about it some other time later. That's exactly what he did. But, you're lucky you don't have that horrible feeling, man. I hope you never do.
I am very lucky. As I say, I've been blessed in more ways than I can count, and I don't ever take it for granted. And I don't just mean the fact that my worldview, I still come across like a little bright-eyed idealist. I just mean in other ways. Yeah. There are so many times in my life that things could have gone really wrong. They just really didn't go as wrong as they could have. Maybe I bounced back faster. I don't know. But all of the crazy stuff, and I'm going to be 50 in 3 months. 2.5 months. It has not made me bitter. I was bitter when I was a kid. I was angry all throughout my 20s and into my 30s. And now,
Yeah, man, even your divorce, you took it so well. I remember talking to you afterwards. I was like, are you okay? You're like, you're fine. Like, I'm good, man. I'm like, wow. He's really well put together. I'm a mess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry.
No, listen. Has a lot to do with 20 years versus a few years.
Yeah.
20 years of being together is a long time. So
yeah,
it's a lot. That has a lot to do with it. That's half my fucking life, bro. Yeah. And then she was gone. It was like my better half left. But I learned everything about myself after that. So no regrets.
Yep.
Love you guys. Thank you for listening so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. It's KPCM out. Jeremy.
Peace out.
You can tell your girlfriends about me. It's about time to get rowdy. I want to work that body. Come work it over here. You can be my brown-eyed beauty, and I bet you see right through me. You can do anything to me. Oh, you're so beautiful. Tonight anything is possible. And I just can't get enough of your love. So give it up. Got my eyes on you. Won't you bring that back to me? Got my eyes on you. You know where I'm gonna be. Got my eyes on you, and I see you checking me.